Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ashley. These are my archives, and yeah. So for December, I actually read like 23 books that entire month, and in that month I read quite a small handful of fake dating books, and I loved every single one of them. And I have come to find that fake dating, marriage of convenience books are some of my top tier books. So for this video, I wanted to go over some of those recs for you. And some of these you've probably already read, some of them you might not have. I think one or two are a little bit more like a lot of people haven't heard of them, so maybe they'll be a hidden gem for you. But yes, I do have a variety of fake dating and marriage of convenience books. Alright, first one is going to be The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I know mostly everyone has read this. This one has blown up on social media everywhere, but it is worth the hype. So this book is going to follow Olive, and it's in third person, but the way it's written, it doesn't bother me. Normally I am not a big fan of third person writing, but the way this one is done, it's just done really, really well. Okay, so Olive is a PhD student at Stanford, and Adam is a professor at Stanford. However, he's not her professor, so there's like no gray, blurred lines, forbidden love, questionable things being done there. Basically, at the very beginning of the book, Olive finds herself in a bind because she basically needs to convince her best friend that it's okay to go out with a guy that Olive had previously gone out with, but she wasn't really into it. And her friend, being an amazing best friend, respecting girl code, was like, oh no, I can't go out with that guy, that's not right. So Olive basically finds the first guy she can see and grabs him and kisses him. And it obviously turns out to be none other than Dr. Adam Carlson. After Olive, basically grabs him, assaults him, and kisses him, she goes and finds him later to apologize, but he's actually very okay with it. This book does have guy falls first trope, which I love, and you can kind of tell it's hidden in there. But basically, Adam also needs a relationship because he's been a professor at Stanford for quite a while, but they think he's like a flight risk, and they think he's gonna leave, so they've frozen all of his money for projects and experiments and stuff. So he basically needs a girlfriend to convince Stanford that he has something to stick around for. But I loved this book. It was a quick, easy read. It was so much fun. Don't let the cuteness fool you. There is some spice in here, and it was good. So yes, The Love Hypothesis is great for fake dating. Alright, and next up we have The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I hope I said that right. This is another one that has completely blown up on TikTok, social media, everywhere, and as it should. Aaron Blackford alone, I think, is the reason that this book gets all the hype that it does. He's just, I'm not even sure how to explain it, but Aaron Blackford is a perfect man. Alright, so the concept of this is very much like The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, if you have read that. This is an enemies, workplace to lovers romance. Basically, Lena, the main character, because this is just a single POV, and she needs a date to her sister's wedding in Spain. And it just so happens that I think the best man is Lena's ex, and so of course she doesn't want to go to the wedding by herself. So Aaron, literally, I think the first sentence of the book is him saying, oh, I'll go with you. And she's like, why the hell would you take me? We hate each other. But it takes some convincing, and obviously she takes him, and there's some amazing spice in here. There's some amazing lines in here from Aaron Blackford that has made me question a lot of things in life. But yes, go pick up The Spanish Love Deception, another great fake dating one. Alright, and next is gonna fit the college sports romance genre, which is also one of my favorites, and that's gonna be The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is a very popular one. Once again, it is the first book in the Off-Campus series, and it sets up the whole series great. Garrett Graham, he's an unbeatable book boyfriend. So basically the premises of this book is Hannah and Garrett, obviously they attend the same university together. Garrett is on the hockey team, and him and Hannah have a class together. I can't remember which one it is, but basically Garrett has failed a test or a paper or something like that, and he finds out that Hannah got an A, and he's like, oh my god, I need your help, or I'm gonna get like kicked off my team. Please help me. Hannah does not want to help him. She has no interest in him whatsoever. She thinks that he is a player. He doesn't care about his grades. It's not worth her time. Garrett does a little bit of research on his own, and he finds out that Hannah actually has a crush on, I think, the school quarterback or something like that. And so he's like, hey, I'll tell you what, if we make a deal, you help me with my classwork and I will help you get a date with him, and you know, we can just help each other out. So obviously Garrett was like, to get this guy's attention, hey, let's fake date. I'll show you how to act at parties, how to flirt and stuff. There's even this amazing scene, I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about, where I think Garrett was showing Hannah how to kiss or something, and it was, yeah, you probably know what I'm talking about. Yes, The Deal by Elle Kennedy, another great fake dating. Okay, and then that is actually going to do it for all of my fake dating. All the rest I have are Marriage of Convenience, which, top tier, god tier, amazing. Whoever came up with Marriage of Convenience tropes in books, seriously, you're doing the Lord's work, because those are some very, very good pieces of literature I've picked up. Okay, this first one is actually the book series that got me back into reading. So of course I had to credit this, and this is not a spoiler. I don't think it's written on the back of the book. Maybe. But it happens in like the first 35 to 40% of the book, and it's literally the rest of the series. So if I spoil this for you, I'm really sorry, but okay, and that's gonna be Outlander. And Outlander has changed my life, I have to say. I used to read every day through high school, and then when I got to college, I kind of just fell into the funk of not thinking it was cool like a lot of people, and I just stopped for almost a decade. And then I started the Outlander series in early 2020, and it kind of just totally blew my mind, and I was like, oh my god, I need to read this book series. And if you like the show and you've never read the series, the TV show does a phenomenal job at following the books. They don't really change a lot, which is incredible for me. But anyway, like I said, this is a Marriage of Convenience book. So this follows Claire Randall, and she is a World War II nurse in 1945. And she and her husband, Frank, they go on a honeymoon in Scotland after the war is over, because they didn't get a chance to have a real honeymoon before. And long story short, she basically gets sucked through this circle of stones, and she gets transported to Scotland, 1743. And there she meets a clan of Scots who take her in, and there's quite a little bit that happens, but basically it comes down to it that Claire needs to marry one of these clansmen so that she can remain safe, because obviously the 1700s is not an overly safe time or place for women. So she marries Jamie Fraser and instantly becomes torn between two times and two husbands. And when I tell you, this is probably the most beautiful romance I have ever read, watched on the show, period. Claire and Jamie, oh my god. Just, yeah, give this one a chance if you can. Alright, and then taking us back to modern times is going to be To Love Jason Thorn by Ella Maise. I actually just recently read this one, and as you can see, I tabbed a lot and I loved it. This was such a fun and easy read. So this one is going to be childhood crush to lover. Conveniently enough, this is another book about a character named Olive. So she basically fell in love with her brother's best friend Jason when she was 6 years old. And he was kind of like this perfect boy next door to her. He wasn't mean to her. In fact, he always stuck up for her when her brother was being a douchebag to her. And I mean, you can obviously see why he was a crush for her. But something happens to him in high school where it forces him to move away, and it breaks Olive's heart, and it actually kind of breaks Jason's a little bit in the process too, because his family life wasn't the best, and he was very close with Olive's family. It was basically like his second home. He was there all the time. So it broke both of these two characters for him to leave. Then you flash forward to the future. Jason's in his mid-20s, Olive is in her early 20s, and Jason is a famous movie actor, and Olive has just written a book. Basically, a movie studio production company, they want to buy the rights to Olive's book, and they want none other than Jason Thorn to play the love interest. Now, leading up to this point, Jason has basically built himself a reputation as a player, as a man whore, and his PR rep says, you need to clean this up, you need to fix this, because there are a lot of movie production companies that do not want to work with you anymore. So she suggests to him that he get married for like a year, a couple years, to basically show that he can be a clean family man. And obviously that is where Olive is going to come in. And this was just a really cute story. I really enjoyed it. So if you're into marriage of convenience books, this is going to be another one of those. Alright, and then my number one favorite book of all time, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. Another marriage of convenience book. This one is going to follow Vanessa and Aiden. This is a single POV. So Vanessa is Aiden's assistant. He is an NFL player. She's been his assistant for several years. He is kind of a jerk. He's very grumpy all the time. He doesn't talk. And in the beginning of the book, there's some conversation that goes on between him and his manager is basically insulting Vanessa, and Aiden is not doing a thing to defend her or stick up for her. So Vanessa pretty much says, F you, I'm out of here, I quit, goodbye. And Aiden literally comes crawling back to her a few weeks later. He's sitting outside her apartment, and yeah, he cannot let her go. Well, come to find out, so Aiden is a citizen of Winnipeg, Canada. So he's not a citizen of the US, and his visa is about to expire. So he tells Vanessa that he needs to get married so that he can stay in the States. And of course Vanessa is like, why would I marry you? I just quit. I don't want to work for you anymore. Why is that going to benefit me? And Aiden pretty much offers her the world to do this for him. He offers, I think, to buy her a house and to pay off her student loans, which was a really big deal for her. I think part of the reason she stuck out as long as she did working for Aiden was to pay off those student loans. So obviously she's enticed. They get married. This is a very slow burn. Oh, so worth it. Oh, so good. This book right here was what introduced me to Marriage of Convenience, and thank you for that. Alright, and a similar book to Wall of Winnipeg and Me with kind of very close vibes is Marriage for One by Maise. This one is going to be a dual POV, so you're going to get a little bit more with that than Wall of Winnipeg, I feel like. Now this one follows Jack and Rose, and yes, there are several references to Titanic in this book, so I love that. Alright, but basically the premise of this book is that Rose has always dreamed of running/owning her own coffee shop. And I believe she was raised by her wealthy uncle, who is dead at the beginning of the book, and he put in his will a clause that said that basically Rose had to be married to acquire the building, which, okay. Jack is the lawyer that is going over the contracts and the will and everything, and he basically offers to marry her so she can acquire the building, and he basically says it's going to benefit them both because he's interested in part of the property, and also he says by getting married he needs, you know, a wife at dinner parties and galas and events like that, so it's just going to help them both out in the long run. And what I loved about this one is this is another guy falls first, and Jack is hiding something in this entire book, and there is quite a build-up and a mystery to what that is, and I don't think it was a letdown at all. Overall, this book was, just amazing, so try to pick this one up if you can. Alright, and then these next three I read on my Kindle, and they are all available on KU just an FYI. And the first one is going to be Brutal Prince, and that is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. This one was a really good one. It was spicy and it was a good time. So this one follows Ada and Callum, and it is dual POV, and these two are from rival mafia families. They both live in Chicago, but their families have been butting heads for decades. And basically at the beginning of the book, Ada and her brothers, they sneak into a birthday party for Callum's little sister, and Ada basically sets fire to the living room on accident and accidentally steals a pocket watch that she was looking at and accidentally like stuck in her pocket. And Callum basically goes running after her. There's this whole altercation, and their fathers both get really upset with them. So to fix the situation, basically their dads say, guess what? The two of you are now going to get married. And this is a full-on enemies to lovers book. Some of the little pranks they do to each other is hilarious. I got pure enjoyment out of it. But yes, so this one is going to be a mafia marriage of convenience book. Alright, this next one was honestly one of my favorite reads for the entire month of December. I was obsessed about it. And that was A Not So Meet Cute by Meghan Quinn. I don't even know what to say about this one. This one had me giddy. I probably looked like an idiot while I was reading it. I got so excited the further I got into it, and the more like you could tell that they were falling in love with each other. Ugh, it was just perfect. Alright, so this one is going to follow Lottie and Huxley. This is another dual POV, and Lottie was an amazing main character. She was probably one of my favorite female main characters that I've ever read about. She was a great time. So basically at the very beginning of the book, Lottie is fired by her very terrible, horrible, rich best friend. And basically she helped her best friend grow her company. And I guess her friend has always been one of those terrible friends that has really never ever had your back. Lottie's family told her not to go work for her in the first place, and she didn't listen to them. Anyway, her friend basically betrayed her, had promised her this big time promotion, and was like, you know what, I need to save some money, so I'm gonna have you go. And she literally has security toss Lottie out. I mean, this is the first chapter of the book, and this is how it sets things up. And I'm like, what a horrible, horrible person. And then meanwhile, across town, while this is happening, Huxley has just missed out on a business deal that he really, really needed. He runs a very successful real estate company with his two brothers. And basically, he's trying to secure this deal, and the guy, he just wasn't into it. He basically wanted Huxley to be more of a family man. And so Huxley leaves the office and he goes to pick up lunch, and there he runs into the guy that had just turned down his business deal. And there, that guy is with his pregnant fiance. And Huxley, so desperate to get this business deal, was like, oh, well, I have a pregnant fiance too. And so obviously this other colleague is like, oh, well, why don't you bring your fiance over for dinner and we'll talk business sometime. So obviously that puts Huxley in quite the dilemma. So after having a crappy day for both of them, they both decide to go on a walk outside their homes. They run into each other. Basically, Lottie's whole predicament was, you know what, I need to find a rich husband to solve all my problems, and then I can just stick it to my friend. And obviously, Huxley needs a girl who is willing to play a fake fiance and pretend to be pregnant. And so these two, I think, have a contract drawn up and everything. Like, it is right down to the legal terms. And the thing that I really loved about this was that Huxley was very, very desperate for Lottie to help him. So in order to convince her of this, he takes her out to Chipotle. And, you know, he puts on a great persona, very, very convincing for her. And however, you know, once they fully start this deal of, you know, a fake engagement, she realizes that he is not the guy he was at Chipotle. He's very serious, very stuffy, very businessy, and she doesn't like that. And in turn, Huxley doesn't like how free-spirited Lottie is. In fact, part of the deal of her moving in with him to be his fake fiance, he basically takes her entire wardrobe and puts it in storage and gives her a new wardrobe. And that one didn't really go over well. But overall, this was a fun book. This is a rom-com, and I laughed out loud during a lot of it. There were a lot of scenes that were really, really funny. Personally, I loved the ending of this book. It was very swoon-worthy. So if you are interested in Marriage of Convenience, this one isn't technically a marriage of convenience. I guess it's an engagement of convenience, but I group it with Marriage of Convenience because it involves a character moving in with the other character. It's got forced proximity. You're basically pretending you're going to be together for the rest of your life. So yes, go pick up a Not So Meet Cute, because this one was 5, 10, 20, 100 star rating. I loved it. Okay, and this last one, I kind of like to think of it as a hidden gem because I had never seen it anywhere. One night on TikTok, I was really, really interested in finding Marriage of Convenience books, so I typed Marriage of Convenience in the TikTok search bar, and this came up, and I had never seen it anywhere else, and I'm glad I found it because, once again, it was a top tier book for me. And that is going to be The Favor by Suzanne Wright. So this one is going to follow Vienna and Dane, and this one was single POV, and that's okay. When, you know, single POV, it's not my favorite, but obviously I'll deal with it. Dual POV is just gonna be over the top because, you know, we love to get in a man's inner thoughts. We love it. But this one is a single POV, so you're gonna follow Vienna. She has been Dane Davenport's personal assistant for, I think, 4 years. She's in her mid-20s and he's in his late 30s, so this is also going to be an age gap trope, and it was done so well. I'm not a big fan of age gap unless it's done right, and I think the fact that she wasn't 18, she was in her mid-20s, just it made it a lot more doable for me. So basically, once again, Dane is the one that needs the marriage. That's kind of what the common factor in all of these Marriage of Convenience books is that it's the guy that needs it, because let's face it, if a girl went to a guy and was like, I really need you to marry me as a favor, will you please do it? A guy's gonna look at you like you are a stage 5 clinger. Get the hell away from me. I am getting a restraining order. Goodbye. But, you know, when a hot, rich CEO guy asks you to marry him, you know, we don't question it. I mean, maybe we question it for a small second, but then we're moving in, we're getting our new wardrobe, we're getting a new car. That's just how it works. Okay, so basically Dane has 2 younger brothers, and they were raised by their uncle, and their uncle was also a very wealthy person, but he grew up single. He didn't have a wife or anything, and I guess it made him really regret his life at the very end, and he didn't want the same for his nephews, so he put in his will that the nephews could only get their inheritance if they were married by the time that they turned 38 years old. So when the book starts, Dane is 37 and his 2 younger brothers are already married. Basically, Dane explains it that he doesn't think his brothers were overly in love with their wives. They just wanted to get this done quickly so they could get their money and not worry about it later on. Obviously, Dane has never been interested in marriage. He's never been interested in love or a relationship, so it hasn't been a priority to him. But now that he's 37, it is a priority to him because he doesn't trust his brothers. Because another stipulation with the will is that if he doesn't get married by the time he's 38, then his portion of his trust fund or whatever is split in 2 and goes to the other brothers. Now, one brother has said he would give his money to Dane. The other brother is a jerkwad and will not do it. So Dane basically asks Vienna to marry him so that he can acquire the money. He's very honest with her. He's very upfront with her. Now, the thing about this book, obviously, is because of money being involved with the other brothers, there is quite a bit of a plot throughout this book to separate the two of them. Because Dane's brother, he's basically gambled a lot of his money away over the years, and he and his wife are very desperate and they want Dane's share of the money very badly, and so they do some very questionable things to Vienna and to Dane to try to break them up. And then also on Vienna's side of the family, she has a little bit of a past. Her father is in her life. He's a really great guy, but she was raised by a foster family because of some situations that you'll read about. And her, the daughter of the foster parents, so her foster sister, but not really because she hated her, she is also a terrible person, and she has been mean to Vienna her whole life because she was very resentful that her parents took in a foster kid. And so she's very jealous that obviously Vienna is married to a very wealthy, successful, attractive guy, and she also does things in her power to try to separate the two. This book is going to be very heavy on the drama of, like I said, it's not an easy ride for these two. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but I would say more of the journey of the book is basically getting their two families to leave them the hell alone and just let them be. But overall, I loved this one. Once again, this is free on KU, so try to pick this one up if you can. Like I said, this one is going to be age gap, workplace, marriage of convenience, romance. Alright, and that is going to do it for my fake dating marriage of convenience recs. If you have any more recs for me that I did not mention in this video, please drop them down in the comments below, because like I said, fake dating, marriage of convenience, they're top tier for me. I love them, so please give me your recs if you have them. I linked all my social medias down below. You can click them to follow me. Click like, click subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!